The doctors just asked him to tone it down a little bit to get ready for the game. Another road game, it'll be loud, so that's what we're doing.
How much has his voice shifted? I mean, you talked Sunday, seemed to go through Sunday okay. What's his status like? Did it deteriorate at all? What's he looking like right now today?
His status is he'll play on Sunday.
Is what?
He'll play on Sunday.
Yeah, but in terms of his voice, how has the voice deteriorated at all? Is that something that has required another week of voice rest? What exactly happened?
The doctor said he should rest a little bit more, so that's what we're going to do.
Zac, is there a fine line between trying to trick the opponent and executing? Like when you're going up against the Martindale defense, are you trying to execute more than you are trying to scheme against them? I guess that's my
There's a mixture of both. Every defense you play presents its challenges. Baltimore is certainly up there with one of the tougher ones you got to prepare for. So you had a great scheme in place. Part of that is things you do well and your guys have confidence in. Part of it is, being ready to attack the ways that you think that they're going to play you. And so there's a balance there of game planning that goes into the week and things that our guys have a great deal of confidence in that we've been doing for the last 2 years. And we just got to find that balance on Sunday.
Are you more comfortable putting those kind of on-field decisions in Joe's hands? Or
I mean, those are things that we talk through during the week. There's not many things that pop up during the game that we haven't talked through and we just put on him. I mean, that's what the meetings are for and the walkthroughs and all that. And certainly there's adjustments that we talk through during the game that he may come and have seen something and wants the ability to do it during the game. And he's earned that from us to be able to make those adjustments, recommend those adjustments. I can't say that I can think of an example where he did something out there where we had never talked about it or totally caught us by surprise. There's plenty of time in the week to be able to talk through all those scenarios.
Zac, during that game at Baltimore last year, in between series when you talked to Joe, could you tell he was having a hard time recognizing that he was going through a lot of confusing things that were going on and he was facing that game?
Well, we had some challenges early in that game. Starting with those early turnovers. We didn't score on the first drive of the game where we had some really good opportunities. We just weren't totally in sync there. And then from there, we just did not play well in any area. So play calling, quarterbacking, blocking, route running, there wasn't a lot to be excited about leaving Baltimore that day. So, again, those are just things that have to serve you well in the future. You learn that lesson, and you're able to come back. And obviously we didn't have a lot of the guys in Week 17 last year when we played them, but now we're back, and our guys are feeling the groove of things. And, again, just some great opportunities our way on Sunday, and our guys will be ready for it.
Has Mixon taken another step forward as a runner this season, and just what do you like about how he's been running the ball?
I think he's been consistent for us. To take a step forward, those are kind of our expectations for Joe, to be productive when he carries the ball and be physical and punish guys as they're trying to make the tackles. He's been decisive with his reads, which has been really good. And so, again, he's doing what we like him to do.
Why do you think teams have blitz plural this year maybe than last year?
Well, maybe it's a respect thing. Maybe it's a respect thing for the receivers. They don't want to create a lot of one-on-ones. They don't want to give us the space. Maybe it's just the types of structures we face from the defenses we face through 6 games. I think that's why I'm always a little hesitant statistically through 6 weeks of how people are playing yet, because maybe just play 3 teams that historically don't pressure a lot over the course of the season. So it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with kind of their identity. Chicago, for example, they got a great rushers. They play a bunch of quarters behind it. They don't rely on a ton of pressure. They get that pressure from their front four. So when you play a couple of those types of teams early in the season, it would maybe skew the statistics that way. And maybe it has something to do with us. Maybe it doesn't.
Is this going to be the biggest mental test for him this year, given how much he likes blitz?
They certainly are up there with their blitz percentages. And so it's a mental test for everybody to make sure that you're on top of your IDs, because they do a lot of things that complement other looks really well. So again, it's a week that you got to be really dialed in and prepared for.
Zac, Mike Hill, at the end of this press conference, and we didn't ask him about this, he said extend Jesse Bates, and then he said that's what does Bates mean to this defense?
He's been a tremendous leader for us, captain. He's always been a mature guy. I got here during his 2nd year, and you just see him to continue to professionally mature. Just the game has slowed down for him. He understands his role as a leader and what that means and what that looks like. And so, again, Jesse's just been a guy who's been really fun to watch him to continue to just evolve as a football player and as a leader, and he's done a great job for us.
How much does that come up with your communication with the locker room or players in general, them saying either how much they value Bates, how much they like playing with him, or
Yeah, it's awesome that they support their teammates. You know, that's just one glimpse of our locker room. They like playing with each other. They want to continue to play with each other. They're going to support each other. I think that's a positive thing.
You brought in a lot of guys on both sides of the ball the last couple of years, maybe especially defense. Was there one trait or traits that you looked at when evaluating guys to bring in here that top the others?
Yeah, guys that have a high degree of talent and love playing the game. They love the process. They love practicing. They love talking football. They love playing a 17-game schedule and all the things that come with that. And some people love the things that come with football, and that's fine. But we want guys who just love the entirety of the process. And I think all the guys that we brought in on defense fit that profile and have proven that to us. You know, you do your research as best you can. It's not a perfect science. But then you bring them in, it's like, all right, we were able to quickly verify that holds true with all the guys that are here.
Zac, would you say your speed, sideline to sideline, defensively is better this year, or you're better tackles those two areas against a team like Baltimore? How important are those?
Yeah, it's critical. You got to get them on the ground. You got to be sound. They're going to give you a lot of different looks that stress you. They can beat you in the run and the pass. It's a real test, you know, and sometimes it doesn't matter the number of plays your defense is out there, because some of those plays feel like 2 plays, you know, because you got to cover the initial part of the play, and then he can extend the play back there and make a lot of moves down the field and make guys get more than one opportunity at him. So that's where the collective team effort's got to come into play. Our offense has to do a great job controlling the ball and getting first downs and scoring points, and when the defense is out there, we got to have everybody who's up ready to go and be able to play sound football.
Wink's been blitzing like 40 to 45% every year, and I mean there are probably only so many blitzes. It's not an infinity, but he seems to come up with something new. He pulls something new out of his bag, every single week. Is he still evolving? I mean, is he still showing new pressure packages he hasn't shown yet?
I think each week, they identify how they want to attack you. Some things you saw the week before, some things maybe you saw a couple weeks before, some things are new to you. And they seem to have a belief in all the guys that they can bring. But I think behind all that is they have a belief in their coverage abilities, and it starts with 44. He's one of the premier corners in this game. And they trust him to cover someone and lock them up, and that's done. And now it's up to the other guys, 23, 25, to do their job. So that's the mentality that they've had. They've always done a great job combining their coverage with the front. And then you add the pressure on top of it, and it's a tough recipe there. They've done a really good job with that.
So intelligence is a big factor too when you're doing all of that. You have to have smart football players.
Yeah, and they've got guys that have been there a long time. Yeah. You just look at the safety room that's been there. 25 has been there. Humphreys has been there. Jimmy Smith has been there. They really only added 2 guys. 99 and 50. 99 is a younger player, and 50 is a veteran player. Those are really the only 2 guys they've added to the mix up front. They brought Bynes back, who'd been there for a long time, won a Super Bowl there. Now he's back in the mix. They've drafted well. So you just look at the collection of their defense, and those guys have been there a really long time in the system. They communicate really well. You watch the communication, and sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's nonverbal. They just know. They can look at each other, and they can get to where they need to be. They can pressure you on the move if you're on the ball. So it's just a really I don't know if they view it as a complex system. Maybe it's very simple with how they communicate. To the offense, it looks very complex, and they did a really good job with it.
On the field, why is it that Trey Hendrickson's hadn't worked out so well?
He's relentless, and that's what we want our defense to be about. Guys who are relentless. And Trey, just over the course of the snap, wears guys down. And it might not be the first snap, it might not be the second, it might be the third, the fourth, and he draws a lot of holding calls. He draws a lot of false start calls, and he gets hits on the quarterback, and that's critical.
I'm sure every defensive end wants to be relentless. Like, what does it take to be a guy who actually is relentless?
I don't know that I ever had that motor in me, so it's hard for me to describe that. Some guys got it. Some guys just can go all day, and that's probably not a skill that I ever had, so I can't answer that question very well.
Zach, do you believe in the notion of statement games? And if so, which statement do you guys make by saying?
No, I just think the way that you have to approach this is a team who's done it consistently for a long time. They've played at the end of the year when it really matters, and to get to where we want to be, you got to go on the road and you got to be able to win games like this. And so I don't look for statement games, measuring stick games, but this is a team that we know is going to be there at the end of the season ready to poise and make a run to win the championship. And so they've just proven that over the last 20 years that I've been watching it. And so it's just you got to go ready to play these guys because they'll be ready.
With Burrow and voice rush throughout the league, how do you manage his voice so you have it right for Sunday?
Yeah, same as last week. You know, it's a noisy game, so whether we're doing crowd noise or periods we don't, those guys got to be locked in the huddle and really intent, looking at his lips, and because it's going to be noisy on Sunday, we know that. So again, these things, it's almost better that we're playing on the road as we try to manage that stuff because that's the environment we want to create as we're getting ready for these noisy environments.
Are there other activities he can't participate in besides?
I don't know. I just know that he's on voice rest. So.
Talk about how Wayne likes to pick and choose how he's going to attack different teams. I would imagine a rookie right guard might be a place to start. How have you seen Jackson grow? He's going to start in about a month. Not so much in his physical play, but just his soundness and times of assignments and
Yeah.
mental part of it.
I think that just the more defense he sees is going to continue to improve. And so there's always going to be things that are a little bit new that happen fast. He's just got to continue to be mature, which he has, and just keep soaking it all in every week. What Frank's telling him, what Riley's telling him, what Trey's telling him, and just continue to play consistently. And he's consistently gotten better each week, which is all we're asking from him.
Is he all good? Is Jackson all good from the
Yeah, we'll still monitor him early in the week. But again, today's not a heavy practice for us, so he'll be good to go.
You got a Dungy back in the mix?
We'll get a chance to look at him. You know, he's really never put even a helmet on with Frank or with any of us because it happened in late May, which was our first week our guys reported. So I think it's unfair to say that he's going to be ready to play Sunday. But it's good to get him back in the mix, let him work the scout team, see where he's at. Physically, he's been in really good shape for a while. So I'm not concerned about that. It's just let's put the pads on and see if you can do all the techniques that Frank's asking to do. And so, again, that's not a process we need to rush. We just get a chance to look at him and ease him into it.
Do you expect Marlon Humphrey to shadow Jamar Chase?
I'm not going to have any expectations there. You know, we believe in our receivers, and so we believe in their ability to compete against any corner in this league. You know, I think that they're up for that challenge. He just does a really good job playing physical. He's a really good tackler. He gets the ball out really as probably better than any player in the league right now at forcing fumbles and getting balls up in the air so guys have opportunities to pick them off. And you can just tell he's one of the smartest players in the NFL. You can just, as I listen to interviews he does over the course of the year and I watch him play and his communication and his technique, you can just tell it all makes sense to him. And he plays really fast. He's physical. He's a really, really good corner.
Doc, what is having your eyes right? I mean, Mike Hilton was talking about it as a defensive principle, especially against Lamar, having your eyes right.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Because they give you a lot of window dressing. He can give it to the back. He can keep it. He can do some of those quick pop passes off the same run actions. They're going to pull guards. They're going to run some RPO type stuff. And so if you're undisciplined with your eyes and where they're supposed to be on your reads, then next thing you know, they're 20 yards down the field, run or pass. And that's just the stress that they put on you, you know, and they're really good at it.
Getting back to the idea of trying to find guys that love football, when you were putting together a plan to become an NFL head coach, did you say, if I get the opportunity to run a team, I'm going to prioritize that specific thing?
Yes, and it starts with the culture. You know, it's you always want players that are talented. There's no doubt about that. But again, once you get a collection of men that it's not just about their talent, it's about making the guy next to them, making their job a little bit easier so they can play faster and more confidently, then you get a chance to do all the wonderful things that we want to do here at the Bengals. And it just starts with piece by piece, adding the right people to the locker room. And, you know, it's a process that's constantly ongoing. And again, there are people who have left here who fit exactly what we wanted. It just doesn't work out sometimes by position or whatever it is. So it's not to say that's people that aren't here didn't fit that. It's just we're very careful with who we add to the mix here.
Why has Burrow gotten so much better? Why has he been so good against the blitz this year?
I think Joe Burrow was really good against the blitz last year. You know, I think he's always been good against the blitz. You know, it's that's why we wanted to pick him number one, is because we've seen him take hits in college. We've seen him make throws against pressure. He sees it really well. It doesn't rattle him. I felt that way last year when he was playing. There's not to say that there weren't games that were difficult for us, you know, Baltimore being one of them early on. And but I just think that he's just very consistent with his approach. He's ready. He can get the ball up fast. He sees the full field really well, and those are things that are pretty good against the blitz.
How valuable are those snaps that he took last year where he gets sacked 7 times, hit 15 times, like you said, free runners, you know?
Yeah.
How valuable is going through that experience as he prepares for this one on the road?
It is. It is. And you get a chance to see their play speed up close and personal. And this division gets you ready for it. Oftentimes you see teams from outside the division come over and play the division, and the scores are 34-6. And that's been consistent over the last 5 years. And so, well, probably longer than that. And so that's the beauty of playing in this division. It gets you ready for all those great things that you want to achieve as a team. And you got to do it 6 times. I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. It's not going to come without its challenges, but it's what's going to ultimately help us build towards all those things that we want to be about.
How close is Khalid Kareem to coming back?
He only had 3 days of practice last week, so we get him a chance to get 3 more this week. I don't anticipate him being out for this game, but this will be a good week for him to finally, the first week was kind of the introductory week. Now let's really see what you got and continue to evaluate him into next week.
You just talked about how important the culture is to what you've been trying to do here. For someone who isn't in the locker room, if they were to come pull back the curtain, what are you hoping they would say that the Bengals culture is?
Guys that respect each other, love being around each other, love being at the walkthrough, love being on the plane after victory where I can't find anyone in their seats because they're all up hanging out, talking about the game, talking about whatever, and I had the iPad up and I was trying to show Trey Hendrickson, some of the good things he did. I couldn't find him because he's back there with Von Bell and Clark Harris and everybody. I find there's 15 guys over there talking, and so I think that's just a little bit. And I don't know that it's always been that way since I've been here necessarily. I think the guys just love each other, and they've gotten to know each other maybe better over the course of time. We've added, and they've got a chance to. The pandemic hurt every team, and it certainly hurt teams like us that were adding pieces to the puzzle because guys just didn't get the opportunity. They weren't allowed to go out to dinner together. They weren't allowed to be together in meetings. And so now we're finally getting that, and we're starting to really develop that chemistry that we'd always hoped to have.
Zach, how much does winning affect that? How much does that affect winning?
It goes hand in hand. Winning certainly brings along all those things because they can see the evidence tangibly of it happening. But I certainly think you can win. You can win. It's not going to be consistent if you don't have the culture that I'm describing. And you can do it. I'm sure there's been great examples of teams that have had championship years and they've done it. We want to sustain this thing for the long haul. And we feel that the important thing to do is establish the right foundation and culture to be able to have continued success over time. Thank you.